Hello. Oh my gosh, you guys, we are so excited. Shauna and I are excited to introduce the woman who's going to be writing the foreword for the Your Voice, Your Choice multi-authored book project. We cannot wait to have you get to know her. As many of you know, we started this project and we are so passionate about not only gathering women together, 20 women to tell their story of reinvention, but we are passionate about having this book make this massive positive impact. And so we're just going to jump right into it. And I haven't introduced myself, Rachel Freemon Sowers, and Shauna is going to take it from here.
Shauna Beatty. Yes. Thank you, Rachel. Janet Wiszowaty. We met actually through a mutual friend who said, well, Janet wrote a multi-authored book, so you guys have a lot of synergies. So that's why, we've invited Janet into the book with her expertise and her experience. And you are a whiz at connecting women. Yes, pun was intended. From around the world. So, we're doing it on a micro level right now, but we know we can get more macro as this goes on. So, Janet, just introduce yourself and, your worldly connections and where you're taking your business from there.
Yeah, so my name's Janet Wiszowaty, and I have participated in multi-author books, as well as I created one and brought people together and that. And my history is in policing. I was an emergency police dispatcher for 40 years, and went through some stuff. I'm married to a now retired police officer, and I really feel that we need to support each other and bring each other together. And through our stories, we create synergy and help other people. We may not think our story is that important, but believe me, and I'm going to quote somebody, I didn't say this, but I saw this the other day. Your dream is somebody else's answer to a prayer. So wow. I'll just say that again. So maybe your book, your story is an answer to somebody else's prayer. So if you think you're in any doubt as to what you should do, whether you should do it, do you know what? If you're being called to do it, there's a reason. And so there's sometimes I don't know why I'm doing something, and I just go right ahead and think, okay, I don't know why I'm doing it, but here goes. So that's who I am. Like I say, we've moved all over the country with my husband's career, as well as now we house it all over the world. So we keep meeting people and just the strangest ways, like Shauna and I, this mutual friend of ours. And then actually the lady who wrote the foreword to my book is a friend of Shauna's. We didn't know that. It was really, really, really interesting. So, she says, how do you know her? And we went on and we had quite a conversation about it. But so we never know why we meet somebody or where it's going to go, but we just have to trust.
Well, and we've been talking a lot about that with the interviews of the contributing authors, like just creating this ultimate trust to tell your story and to really ignite that. What made you, okay, this is kind of a two-part question. What made you join a multi-authored book project, both personally and professionally? So 2 for 1.
Okay, so the very first one I did was in 2011, and it was like presented. I was on a program, and it was presented like your book is like sharing you've got a product, right? Now you've got a product you can sell, and you can share stuff or you can talk about it. And so I signed up for that, and it's interesting because what I thought I would write my chapter on totally wasn't, because she gave me a different topic, which totally was out of my comfort zone, but it worked. And so, and then as people have asked me, and but this one that I put together, it was about my journey through 2020. And I felt my journey was very different than a lot of people, what I was hearing. So I just put it out there. Who else had a different experience through 2020? And so we've got 20 authors, including myself, and we shared our journey through 2020, how it started in the middle and how we came out the other end. And I really think people need to know that you don't have to be stuck. And that's what the stories do. So I really believe that when you have a group of stories that you as people buy the book or you share the book with somebody else, one story might be all it takes in that book to change somebody's life. You know, I'm not saying every story in that book will suit everybody because we're so multi-complexed. So that's why I like the compilations and stuff. I love novels and stuff too, and you know, nonfiction. I read all kinds, but I think that in some cases that a multi-authored book is important.
Well, and it really is. I said this to Shauna. Like, it really is
I'll
the
just add one
diversity
more
that
thing.
makes
I
the
built a
book
whole
rich.
workshop around that first one.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's these, like, the
Yeah,
multi
and do you know what?
different
I wouldn't have
stories.
built that workshop without doing it.
And so do you use that workshop now to then promote your business or work with people that you want to work with?
I have, and actually, I did it in person, and I haven't done it online, just bits and pieces when I coach, but I use it in all that, and it's a journaling. I wrote a chapter on journaling. And when she asked me to do that, I said, what do I know about journaling? But surprisingly, we all know something about writing. And I've just recorded introductory, like an hour sharing of what journaling is and that. And it's just a matter of getting all my downloads ready to go. But it's just to share information. Like, we all have a bit of information that somebody can use. Not for everybody, but it might be for that one person that it makes a huge difference.
Yeah. And the beauty that is, all of us have this information to share, the story to share, and it reaches so many more people when they're all gathered together too. Like, when we come together, and Shauna has said that you're really about, you know, a collection of people and collaborating people and, like, bringing people together. What makes you so passionate about bringing people together?
Do you know, I think it goes back. I've always been that, even as a kid. Like, I can remember being the youngest volunteer for 1967, you guys. I don't know, you may be too young to remember 1967, but for our community, a very small community, and just all been a connector. And we moved a lot, so I had to reinvent myself all the time. You know, my dad moved us every 3 years. Then I married a Royal Canadian Mounted Police officer, and we moved with 4 provinces, 9 cities and towns, 15 homes. So you have to constantly be recreating yourself. And I think a lot of it is curiosity. And what makes my soul sing is for me to hear somebody talk and say, oh, you got to meet this person. And I had one person say to me one time, she was talking to me and I was helping her with some stuff. And I said, you know, you really should work with this person. And she says, Janet, you don't make any money if I work with that person. And I says, yeah, but it's not about that. It's about who you need. And you need to work with this person. And, you know, those people come back. Like, you know, when she has a challenge, she still comes back to me. But I knew what she needed. And I think that's part of my universal connections in not just the policing world, but all over. Like, I was just on a call this morning for 2 hours. When I went to house it in Scotland, we created a book club with the people I met there. And now they FaceTime me in, and 2.5 hours we're discussing a book. They're in Scotland and I'm here.
Oh my gosh.
So we've got such an advantage now with our equipment and our technology that we can do that.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Some business people are like, oh, I don't like social media, I don't like the internet. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love it. Just go bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And I think when the three of us bring this collective energy of wanting to expand, and that expansion, it's really going to do that. And Scotland's a beautiful place. Just went there in February. We loved it. It was awesome. What made you decide? So, what made you decide to write the foreword for Your Voice, Your Choice?
Do you know what? It's a new opportunity. And when Shauna asked me, I thought, you know what? I love reading people's stories. And the one thing I get to do is I get to read everybody's stories, because really, how do you get a feel for a compilation if you don't know those stories? Like, nobody can write a forward to a book that they know nothing about or that they've read. And
Mm-hmm.
so my mission in this is to bring out the best I can of what I've gathered in that forward. And you know what? It's
Shauna,
all
what made
learning.
you?
It's
Oh,
all learning, right? It's all learning. We all are learning and growing and stuff. And for those that are writing their stories, you know, the first draft is not going to be the one that's going to be published. Believe me, we went through so many drafts with some of our stories, and then the editing and that. There's a lot of work that goes into that.
well,
Yeah,
Shauna, what
and
made you ask Janet? And then you can take over for a minute.
yeah, well, again, our mutual acquaintance, Shirley. I've been friends with Shirley for over 35 years. We used to work together, and then I told her the premise of the book, and she goes, "Oh my God, I need you to meet with Janet." And Janet's like a worldly connector, and she's been in this space before. I even watched your address at the UN back in, I think, 2017. So I was stalking you online, and
She does
when
that.
we met, like Janet has a very spiritual energy that I might sometimes lack. So when I see that in somebody else, I kind of go, oh, that's, shiny object. Let me get closer. And so it's like with you, Rachel, too, like bringing your energy. We all have different energies that we can bring, and encompassing a group of people together is it's, I think it's just how we should be doing business from now on, like working more closely together. Yeah. So I hope that answered your question.
Well, and it's kind of in that collaborative way, right? We've operated as separate and been taught to operate as separate for so long. And so many of us, although I say us, I'll speak for myself, there's a lot of sister wounds. There's a lot of wounds that are there from our history and how we're taught to treat each other. And this is really, I believe, an awakening of us learning how to truly be collaborative in the way that we are always meant to be collaborative, right? And that shifts things. What makes, for either of you, I'll just ask either of you, and then what makes a multi-authored book better, or is it better than a solo book, or what is the benefits of a multi-authored book?
The multi-level authored book, expansion of book too, because then you've got people, they're excited, they're talking to their friends about it, and if especially if you're in business and that, if they're sharing their story and what they want to be, that's a really good thing. It's hard to explain to people your passion, and sometimes it's through your story, most times it is through your story, that your passion will come through. And so in that case, it helps, and you can collaborate. You don't know when you get those authors all together, the collaboration that could happen. Like one of my authors three of my authors live in the UK. And so I had never met them. I met them through online. So when I was in the UK, I met all three of them. In fact, one of them invited us to stay with her when we were there. We hadn't met in person, but we had built that community. And actually there's one author that's here in Edmonton with me, and I was just her guinea pig for a practice that she does on a technology she does, and so we can support each other in that. So I think that we talk about each other, right? And can share that. And if somebody asks, you say, you know what? One of the authors in the book I'm in does exactly that. So you never know. It's my take on it, anyways. I met one of my dearest friends through one of them. She lives in Ottawa, and we met because we were in this Facebook group. And now she's actually the one that published the book.
So many amazing connections can happen. You know, I love all of that. I mean, like, anything that brings people together for me now is a priority. Shauna, what have you found to be some of the benefits of a multi-authored book with the 2 multi-authored books that you have written already?
Right. Yeah. Well, it might go more to the aspect that I have a very short attention span. So I can only write, 3,000 words at a time, and then I'm falling off into my next idea. But no, there's some truth behind that, to be honest with you. But of the highest value, you can write a book for one person, one voice, with one perspective. But when you have 20 plus authors, you've got 20 plus perspectives. We've put the word out there, reinvention, and everybody's reinventing themselves in their own way. Some people haven't hit the point where they might be reinventing themselves in the future. But at some point or another, we're all reinventing, whether it's your career, your relationships, family, children, moving. Jaddy said that many times. Moving around, you really do have to reinvent yourself, myself included. I had zero network 6 months ago moving to the island, and now I'm meeting all kinds of people and becoming part of the community. So yeah, the multi-authored lends itself so well because we can tell a story without having to create this huge book that isn't necessarily necessary either. And let's face it, you take 20, 30 people and divide the costs. It becomes very, very manageable to think, I can actually get it out there. I can actually be an author. I get a book. I can be, highlighted online and for very reasonable costs. So, yeah, everything we're doing is with full intention on this book. Yeah.
Well, and the support that we're going to offer them is something that is not typically offered to people, even single authors. I mean, if you've watched the interview with Shauna and I, if you haven't, go ahead and go to my YouTube channel, Rachel Freemon Sowers, and check out that episode. But we talk about why a multi-authored book is really the way to go. Because even as single authors, my friend didn't feel supported. She didn't feel like she had what she had actually needed. And this gives you an opportunity, we get to provide that for all of the authors that are going to decide to contribute to this book. So if I'm going to ask each one of you, Janet, I'll ask you first. What are the top, if someone says, should I be in a multi-authored book? What would you tell them?
I would first ask them, what is you to it? I talk about being inspired to do something. So if you connect with somebody that you're hearing about it, just like me, this person spoke about it right away. I thought, yeah, I want to be part of that. What can you contribute to it? Because it's not just writing the story, it's supporting each of you together. And that's part of that. Definitely, if it's your first time, that is an easy way. That's a smooth way. You've got all this guidance. Somebody else is taking on the responsibility of the editing, of the, and for our book anyways, we really, really worked hard with the editing. And if somebody has never published a book or anything, I'll have to say there's all kinds of things out there. But one thing I've learned through all this, if somebody says, oh, self-publish for free, there is no free. There's no free. There is a cost to everything. So by doing a multi-level one, it's distributing that cost. You've got experts that are going to help you get there. You've got coaches if this is your first time to get there. You've got somebody that'll encourage you and support you. And that is so important because, if I hadn't had all that, my book never would have happened. And I think that that's the saddest thing for the people that I brought together, for myself, to prove to myself that I was capable. And I love supporting people that want to go on that journey, because it's like a thing. Like, I failed reading in grade 5, and that was a stigma to me right through. And I didn't even finish high school. And then it took one person to talk me into going back to school and trying. And then I found I was writing I hadn't finished grade 12. I was writing at a university, first year university level, when I took the entrance exam. So don't let somebody else tell you can't do it. Do it. There's people that will support you. Get rid of the naysayers, and don't even share it with them what you're going to do, because you don't want to be in that energy. So 100% you can get supported. And you know what? Check it out. For this group, I've met both of you, and Shauna and I have been on several calls. And you know what? I trust you guys, or I wouldn't do this.
Thank you.
Trust is a huge thing.
It's really huge.
What about you, Shauna?
What was the question? No, I'm just kidding.
What would you tell someone who said, should I be in a multi-authored book?
I know, I was just kidding. I'll answer, because I agree 100% with what Janice said, so I won't repeat. But what I will say on the technical side is I'm now in my 5th or 6th published book. And so I've got the blueprint. I've been successful. We have the team of the designers, the illustrators, editors, Amazon. That's an amazing tool for us, right? So bringing all the tools together, all the people involved in order to create the book, you don't have to do that. You just have to be there, and either you write your story or I write your story with you. As a ghostwriter, I become that voice. I share your voice. So even if you're wondering, like, gosh, I don't really write well or whatever, you don't have to write a word, not one word. You just need to talk to me. And then you'll see how the magic really unfolds after that. So, yeah, we've already started writing stories, and we're interviewing people, so we're really excited. Yeah.
I'll just add one more thing to that, because all my authors wrote their own stories. We coached them, and I don't know how many times we read over them. I had a content editor as well as I had a grammatical editor, and one of my girls wasn't sending, and I said, just send it. She says, I'm not a good writer. Do you know what? I absolutely loved how she wrote her story. So don't judge yourself from yourself. We are our worst critics. So just trust yourself, and you've got the benefit of a ghostwriter. But what if you tried to write your story and then with Shauna and see, where do you need some manipulation? Do you comfortable with it? Do you want me to write it? Like I know another one of my authors, he was having a terrible time, and so I said, send it to me. So I rewrote some stuff for him, and then I met him at his place, and we went over it. Some stuff he kept, but what it did is it gave him that little boost to say, okay, I can put that in there. And then he did it in his own words. So it's a training ground too, right, Shauna? It's a training. We're teaching, we're helping, we're supporting. It's just everything's there.
Yes, of course. So, like, the support started before, we even began, basically. And this is where this book project is so different from anything else I've ever been involved in. is to have all those extensions of support within our group, external to our group. You know, Rachel brings an amazing quality and experience to the table. So I've literally never heard of anybody creating a book like this with this kind of collaboration, this level of collaboration. So kudos to us.
Yeah. Well, I'll wrap it up from here. Janet, we are so appreciative and so excited to have you writing the foreword of Your Voice, Your Choice. And we cannot wait to, I'll speak for myself. Okay, I'll speak for Shauna too. Like, we can't wait till this book comes out. It's going to be so freaking phenomenal. And all of the people, all of the women who choose to share their stories, will only help this expansion of this massive positive impact into the world that each one of us are here to make by just being ourselves and showing up as ourselves in this way. So thank you again. If you are interested, if you listen to this interview and you're interested in being a part of Your Voice, Your Choice, please make sure to contact Shauna or I. The links will be in the comments below. And we would love to hear from you, because we are just, this is our true passion project for this year, and we cannot wait to put it out there. All right. Thank you all for listening. And we hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. And until next time, we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.